MetaMobility, what is that? Well, the Consumer Electronics Show is going on right now in Las Vegas. It's an annual show. It's much smaller this year because you've got to have a vaccine. You got to have a vaccine passport. You got to have all the shots, and you got to have all the tests in addition to all the shots in order to be able to get in. There is something new that you may not have heard of. It's called MetaMobility. Let me let the people who have put this idea together, Hyundai, let me let them explain to you this video. You see a footprint on the moon, presumably. Right?
Have you ever wondered if there's a limit to our imagination?
Footprints on the sand. The baby exploring mobile.
As humans, we've always been on the move.
Now they're going to stop that being on the move now. Now here's an elderly person with a cane.
With robotics technology, we open a new era of human advancement.
Boston Dynamics.
Mobility defies imagination. Our technology helps us overcome limitations.
Spot.
Where the virtual and physical merge into one.
Metaverse.
A new era of MetaMobility.
MetaMobility.
With robotics, we strive to expand human reach. We never limit what we challenge.
And they show the dancing robots.
We challenge our limits. Expanding human reach.
Well, they bought Boston Dynamics for $1.1 billion recently. And what they're trying to do, Hyundai, which is one of the largest corporations in the world, and they've got a great deal of money. They're trying to combine these two together. And it just underscores what I said yesterday, as you saw pictures of this robot that had a lot of fine motor controls, but it was being controlled by an individual via VR. And so this person is looking through the eyes of the robot, manipulating the hands with his virtual controls. And of course, that person could be anywhere. And so they take this another step further with Hyundai. They say, well, you could be manipulating robots that are on the moon or robots that are on Mars or whatever. You could be vicariously traveling on the moon or on Mars. And, well, that's cool. They show some examples, and I'll play a little bit of this as I narrate it. Pull the sound down, Travis, because it's just music here. You see an elderly lady sitting in her apartment looking out, and she seems to be kind of trapped and she can't go anywhere. And so what they're going to show you is their solution to all of this. And she pulls up her phone and summons her little transportation pod, which is brought up to her city apartment on the outside. And she gets in this thing and it lowers her to the street and then drives her somewhere. Now, we can all understand that, there are people who are paraplegics or quadriplegics, somebody who is completely isolated by a condition so they cannot speak at all. We saw that happen. They put in a mind link so the person could tweet by just thinking about it. And this is what they're showing you. Now, when you look at this type of thing, certainly there are good things that can be done with technology. But they only show you the benign and positive aspects of it. And we know that that's not always the case. You have DARPA, which is working on brain control, and now they're talking about how they're using it to weaponize things. DARPA spending so much money on brain control. And they tell you that they want to be able to selectively read memories, and they want to be able to replace memories. They're working on that. We don't know how far along they are on that. Maybe they've already accomplished it if they're telling you about it. Well, that could be used to help somebody who has horrible memories about something, PTSD. But as I said many times, what the Defense Department might want to do is to think about war in a different way, not to use it and be the aggressor, not to send these people out to be in this type of situation and damaged physically, damaged mentally with these unnecessary undeclared wars. Maybe that would be the approach to take. But instead, they say, well, we're going to start doing mind reading so we can do that. And it's not going to stop there, right? And I joke about all of the, I've said many times, when we see these Boston Dynamic robots, I said, yeah, that's just to help a little old lady cross the street. That's what they're showing you now. Well, it could help a little old lady to cross the street, or it could be used as an autonomous killing device. And we talk about MetaMobility. How is that going to be used? Well, this is to essentially isolate you, keep you in your ready, what was it, Ready, Set, Go? Was it Ready, Steady, Go? What was the name of that movie, the Spielberg movie? But, to keep you in that environment and then give you an out through their portal, through the Metaverse. And so I think that is what this is ultimately about. You're not going to go anywhere, but don't worry. If you're a good boy or girl, we can give you access to the Metaverse, and then you'll be able to use your avatars to go do things. Or, we might even have you, which is what they're talking about here with the MetaMobility, have you control some kind of a mobile robot in another part of the world or on another planet or whatever. Or, as I pointed out yesterday, you could have some worker in a third world country where there's very, very low wages, and you could have that worker stocking shelves here in America instead of hiring Americans. Okay? All of these types of things start to come to mind, and when I see this, and they talk about the mobility of things ecosystem where they're pairing people in the metaverse with robots, and that only underscores, I really do believe, that is going to be one aspect of this. Isolating you, keeping you from actually going anywhere. And then the other thing is to bring in cheap labor for these mega corporations. They're talking about many other things at the Consumer Electronics Show. And one of them is the fact that everybody is going full electric. Chrysler has now been bought in the past by Stellantis. Stellantis has announced that they are going to start making only electric cars, and the date for that is, I believe, 2028 by that time. Sony is jumping into it. Apple is jumping into it. Why? Because the cars have become entertainment devices if you actually are going to go anywhere at all. Sony makes the case, they said, with our imaging and sensing and our cloud data and our 5G and our entertainment systems, Sony is well positioned as a creative entertainment company to redefine mobility, because none of this stuff has anything to do with mobility. It's mobility used to be, how do I get there faster? How do I have more fun getting there, right? That's the way I grew up with cars, but that's not what they're doing with this. So you have Chrysler by, let's see, what is the date on this? They've gotten rid of they're declaring that they're going to get rid of all internal combustion engines. And I think it's by 2028 that they're going to do that. And they're selling this as we're going to go into clean mobility and connected customer experiences. Let me tell you that this is not about emissions. This is about controlling your movement. It's just that simple. When you look at, this was also mainstream media yesterday, consumer electronics shows where these consumer electronics companies like Sony and Apple are going to announce their new mobility devices, their MetaMobility. And then you've got Mercedes and other car companies going there as well and announcing that they have, this is a headline, new Mercedes could be a Tesla killer with a 47-inch TV on board. Because that's what this is about. It's not about you really going anywhere or having any kind of independence. They do say that it has a 620-mile range, so we'll see about that, if that actually does happen. But it really is, as they sell this, to try to make sure that this is green. So this is not about emissions anymore. This is about making sure that they control your movements. They say Mercedes has designed this. It's got a 47-inch TV. Don't forget the 47-inch TV. And it is no animal products were used for the interior, so they got leather, no leather in this expensive Mercedes. Instead, the seats are made out of mushroom fibers and cactus fibers. I would much rather sit on a cactus than a nice leather seat from Mercedes, wouldn't you? It's not being market-driven at all. The carpets are made out of bamboo, and any of the plastic inside is from trash that's been recycled. There you go. So you got recycled trash dashboard. You got cactus seats instead of nice, supple leather seats. And so, in other news, I love this sarcasm from the Sun. In other news, a mother claims that her daughter asked Amazon's Alexa for a challenge, and it told her to stick a penny in a wall circuit. These are the people going to be driving our cars. In other words, that's what they put that in there. And then just to show how oppressive they're going to get, you could be fined £1,000 in the UK if you hang an air freshener from your rearview mirror. Well, I don't have to worry about that because I don't have a rearview mirror. I took the advice of this Italian driver in Gumball Rally. Have you ever seen this?
And now, my friend, the first rule of Italian driving.
He pulled off the...
What's behind me is not important.
That's right. The first rule of Italian driving, and he rips off the rearview mirror and throws it behind him. He goes, what's behind me is not important. Now, see, I actually look at this, and I don't know how people... hanging air fresheners and other things like that, it does get in the way of you being able to see cars, right? Especially the cars that are coming off from your right. That's where I found it to be a problem. And I found that to be a problem in my car, so I did what he did. I threw away the rearview mirror. And I've never looked back, so to speak. I do have, I've got mirrors, and the legal requirements, I think, are that you got to have 2 mirrors or something like that. But I'm way over that. I even though I got rid of my rearview mirror, I've got 4 mirrors. I've got my side mirrors, and then I put some, wide angle. I always forget. Is it concave or convex? I always get those confused. I've got those on there, and I actually have better visibility than I did with 2 side view mirrors and a rear view mirror with those additionally on there. It really does help me. So, I kind of, that's one of the regulations that I could kind of understand a little bit. But again, they will do anything in order to get a fine. The key thing is how they're working very rapidly to take away all of our actual mobility. And that's the thing that concerns me very much about what Hyundai and all these giant corporations are doing. They're making it about entertainment. They're making it about making you passive. They're making it about immobilizing you. When they say, we're not going to be a car company anymore. You've heard that from Ford, all the rest of them. We don't identify as a car company anymore. We're a mobility company. Well, they're going to do to take away your travel. And most importantly, to make sure that you cannot afford the cars. And look at how they're moving in this, how well they're moving in this area right now. It wasn't a few years ago that we were marveling when I was talking to Eric Peters about how the average price of a new car was up around $30,000. And it's like, this is absolutely crazy. And it's because they've added all these bells and whistles. And that was even before they put the 47-inch big screen TVs in there. I couldn't even fit a 47-inch TV in my little car. Not that I would want to. I'd have to throw it out the back with a rear view mirror. But, they loaded it up with all kinds of mandated safety devices to keep competitors from coming in after them. And that's why the only competitors that would come around would have to play games and come up with 3-wheel vehicles. Even then, they couldn't put things together. But for the longest time, going back to DeLorean or going back to Tucker, all these, for decades and decades, the big guys know how to keep competitors out. And so now they are coming together, and they're all making their plans against Tesla, who got there because he was basically taking advantage of government subsidies. If these big automobile companies were selling 10 times the amount of vehicles that Tesla is doing, when people buy those vehicles, those internal combustion engines, there would be a hidden fee that would go to subsidize Elon Musk's cars. So they have decided that they're not going to do that anymore. But the reality of what is happening is that this is all moving. This has nothing to do with emissions. It has nothing to do with saving the environment or global warming. It is about control. The vision that they've had for all of this stuff is a vision of a police state, a surveillance state, something where they lock you in your small, tiny micro apartment, feed you bugs, and if you're good, you can get into the VR world and you can drive a little scooter around somewhere else where the scooter is free, but you're confined. That's it. Has your news been censored, banned over and over again? Has vital information been held prisoner by mainstream and anti-social media? It's the duty of every thinking person to make the great escape to thedavidknightshow.com. There you'll find links to live streams, videos, audio podcasts, and support links. Live stream the show at DLive and every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Videos at BitChute and YouTube. New audio podcast, The Real David Knight Show, at Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeart, Spotify, and more. But even though there's a light at the end of the tunnel, without your support, the show will run out of gas. The links to support the show are at thedavidknightshow.com to donate via Subscribestar, donate via or donate via Cash App, Bitcoin, or P.O. Box. Our sincere thanks to all of you who have stood with us to get this far. Please don't forget to share the links and pray for the country as well as our family.